What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the College Sports Connection podcast, where Double A, Alex, and AJ host the Mid-American Conference Best.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the CSC podcast, all action all the time. I'm your host, Alex the Captain. Joining me as always, it's AJ the Guru.
What's going on, everybody?
AJ, welcome back. Life's been a little bit crazy. We've had a couple weeks off here, but now we have another special guest coming on the show. I'm excited for this one. This is a repeat appearance for this gentleman, the current Associate Commissioner of Communications, Mr. Jeremy Guy. Jeremy, thanks for joining us on the show.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. Hope you're both doing well. I'm happy to be a repeat customer on the pod.
Absolutely.
Happy to have you as a repeat.
Yeah,
I wasn't a part of the first one. I think I had thrown my back out that day and was pretty hopped up on pain pills, so I skipped that episode. But it's nice to be back on this one.
I think you texted me like 2 hours before, like, "Hey, I'm like laying flat right now. There's no way I can do a podcast."
No.
The pain pills might have made it a little more interesting. Never know.
You never know until you try, I guess, right? Yeah, I'm sure that won't be the last time I ever throw it out either. So.
So, Jeremy, like we mentioned, repeat guest on the show. Kind of fill everybody in on this time of year. You're getting ready for the MAC championship tournament for the men and women in Cleveland. How chaotic is it right now?
It's getting there. Right now is very chaotic because I know we'll get to basketball, but like this week we have our women's swimming and diving championship. We have our indoor track and field championship. Next week we have our wrestling championship and men's swimming and diving championship, and then go right into the basketball tournament. So, all in all, 5 championships in 3 weeks. We have staff all over the place. It's a fun time. We love championships. That's a huge plus and why we love what we do, to see everyone compete for championships. It's one of my favorite things about being in the conference office. But it's a lot right now. So, our basketball seasons, again, they're coming down to the wire. Women's, as we tape this, our women are playing tonight with 4 games left. Men have 3 games left after last night, Tuesday night's games. So it's coming down to the wire, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it's coming down to the wire. The fact that we're probably not going to know the regular season champion until the last week of the season on both sides. I think that's just a testament to how strong this conference is this year. A lot of contenders sitting right at the top.
Oh, no doubt. It's been a fun year of MAC basketball on the men and women's side. This league, you guys know it. I mean, it's every week you don't know what you're going to get. Every night you don't know what you're going to get. And we've had some great stories. We've had some great winning streaks on both sides, men and women. You're right. I mean, we might be me doing a lot of tie-breaking scenarios like I normally am that last week to get the brackets out. But, that's what I love about this league is that everyone is so evenly matched, and that's what makes it so fun. And that's what makes our game so competitive and fun, again, fun to watch.
Sure. Is this one of the more competitive seasons that you can remember in the past, 10 years or so, when you have so many good teams in the top 4, 5, even 6 slates? Every night there's just a high scoring, high competitive games. This, competitive wise, this has to be one of the top in recent memory.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. We had a couple of years there with Buffalo and their dominance, and they were ranked. So that's not very long ago, but I mean, every year is like this, right? We have a lot of teams on both sides that once we start tournament play can win the tournament. Right. And that's, we have gone into that, I think, a number of years now. You just don't know. You look at that bracket, you're like, well, yeah, look at all these teams. They can all make a case. So, yeah, I don't know if it's the most competitive. I feel like From the top teams, yeah, I mean those games are just knockdown drag out battles, right? But those teams have kept going. So when they play, they've been so good this year that maybe you're like, okay, when they play a team maybe in the bottom half of the league, that you're like, okay, well, what's going to happen. And there's not as many upsets, like in conference upsets. There have been a few, but I think when these teams go, the top half, as we look at the standings today, have just been dominant all year round.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the tie-breaking scenarios a moment ago. Obviously, we put out during football season we call them our CS scenarios, just about what could happen, who could go to the MAC championship. What are the tiebreakers for basketball to determine seeding? Because obviously we could really see a lot of teams with the same record who have played differently against various opponents.
Yeah, sure. I'll break it down in as least amount of words as I can. So our first tiebreaker, let's just take two teams that maybe you're tied for fifth and sixth, right? And so our first one is head to head. Let's say that those two teams split during the season. They went 1-1. Your next tiebreaker after head to head then starts at the top. So right now, as we tape this, we'll just use the men for right now. Toledo. So what are those two teams' record against Toledo? If they're both 0-1 or 0-2, it goes by winning percentage. So like 0-2 is not worse than 0-1 because teams can't control how many teams they play. We have an unbalanced schedule sometimes. Right. So it goes based on win percentage. So, they both lose to Toledo. Well, maybe you go to the next team, which right now would be Kent State. What is their record against Kent State? And maybe that fifth team beat Kent State and the sixth team, or, those two teams tied, lost. Well, there breaks your tie. So you just work your way down. It might not be till the fifth, sixth, seventh till you get that tie, but that's we've never, I can't remember a time getting past that where everyone's tied and had the same record against every single opponent. Okay. So that's the easiest way, and then you get into some crazy stuff, but I don't think we need to. I think actually we may have changed. It might just be a coin flip after that. It might just be those two things, and then you get to that. I don't know. I don't have it right in front of me.
Okay.
Again, have not gotten past that point to compare the teams as we just call it versus ranked opponents, which is just like rank from your top team in the conference on down. Gotcha. And that's pretty much it. But if you get into 3-team ties or 4-team ties, and there's a team that's 2-0, two teams that are 1-1, and a team that's 0-2, then those two teams with the different records, 2-0 and 0-2, would be separated. You'd go back to the two teams that are 1-1, compare head to head, and go through the whole process again. So yeah, I've done many years of it, so it's ingrained in my head, and I usually knock them out. You guys probably see if the tournament started today, and as soon as those games and results are done, I'm able to spit those out pretty quickly.
Sure. Yeah, because I'm just kind of looking at the updated standings now here, and Ball State, Akron, both there at 11-4 in the conference, and you go down to Buffalo, NIU 7-8, BGSU and EMU 4-1, along with Miami of Ohio. It's going to be a real race to the finish here in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be really exciting.
No, it is, no doubt, and those we'll see. I've done, I think I've done a 4-team. I think I've gone up to a 5-team tiebreaker at some point that we've had, but yeah, it's all fun. That's again goes back to when we opened this whole conversation, that shows you how well aligned our conference is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think too, with the hiring of some Coach Lewis at Ball State, he's changed things dramatically, and around the conference, the coaching is it's impeccable. It's so much fun to watch. It's so much more technical than it has been. Yeah, it has been so much more technical than it has in the past. It's just really fun to watch. And Coach Lewis, obviously being a Ball State guy, I'm all in on him, what he's done. And so, but it's definitely, it's just exciting. It's every night. Western Michigan Ball State went to Western a couple nights ago and beat them. That was a huge upset.
Yeah, no, and again, I talked about that. We've had a couple of games where if you looked at the schedule, like, oh yeah, this is going to happen, and it doesn't happen. But yeah, additions to the league and coaching, Coach Lewis, Coach Stevens, last year, Coach Barbie. All of our coaches are great. And then you have the ones that have been doing it for years, right? Coach Kowalczyk, Coach Senderoff,
Yep.
Coach Gross, Coach Bowles. I mean, and that's just on the men's side. You could say the same thing about the women's side, although they've had like more new coaches in the past few years. But Brady has been doing a tremendous job at Ball State for years, right? And Robin has come in, Coach Freilich come into BG and has picked up right where she left off when she was at Ashland, right? And
she's been phenomenal there.
Yeah. So, and then Coach Cullup, like
Mm-hmm.
obviously, there's nothing. I mean, what can you say? She's been doing it for years. Like, so we have a lot of good coaches in this league, and that's just to name a few. I could go and say something nice about every single coach in this conference. They're great groups on both sides to work with, and you just go in every night like rooting for everyone, and I mean, I know that's my job. we're sitting here and we want everyone to win, but everyone's like genuinely like great people. You just, especially when it comes non-conference season, you're just like pulling for everyone because they're such great people.
Well, and I think too, to your point on rooting for everybody, we obviously all have some level of our loyalty to which schools or whatever. But at the end of the day, I do find myself, kind of cheering for like, yeah, it'd be great to see this team do well because it makes the conference look better. And we kind of find that even during bowl season, all in on all 6 teams, which I guess kind of leads me to that segue of the Bowl Challenge Cup. How huge was that for the conference? That was amazing.
It's awesome. We had a great bowl season. I think like we were even talking with the commission. I think if you looked at non-conference and everything, it was probably subpar. Didn't have a huge win this season, right? But then a great competitive conference season like we always have. Again, that's the MAC. Like we could talk any sport we have up and down. It's all competitive. It's all the same. But yeah, when we got to those bowl games and put up a 4-2 record, it just speaks, and we were close, right? We were close in the other 2 games. And so, I mean, Miami's like 2 yards away from
2 yards from the end zone.
Yeah. So, and BG, they played a great game. Just couldn't pull it off.
With a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
Camden North had to come in. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have Matt in there, who knows what happens, right? So, great thing. The trophy, I should have shown you guys, or I mean, I don't know if commissioner's still here as we're taping this, but it's massive. Thing's huge. But it's cool. It will be here for a year. Excited to show that baby off. I'm sure you guys saw on social media. We had some fun with it. But just it's great. We finished the season with a bang, gives us some momentum in the next season. And it's great to win those games.
So that's a traveling trophy then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would send it back after this year. Well, we're not going to send it back. We're gonna
love it.
Right?
I love it.
We're gonna have it. We're gonna have it. But yes, one would, and normally, we would send that back to ESPN or bowl season, and then they take it and then get it to the next conference.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They should make it sent from the previous school. Like that'd be really fun.
Yeah. That would.
So who had it last year?
Conference? The Mountain West had it last year.
Mountain West had it. Okay.
Yeah. But it's great. It's great. We just had a football coaches call today and talked a little bit about that. Just we had a good year. Might not have started the way we wanted with would have liked some more fly the flag wins. But we closed it out very well, and I was glad. I was probably at one of the more exciting games of them, being at the Ohio-Wyoming game. Game that came down with a fantastic touchdown grab to win that game. So it's a lot of fun.
Sure. I do want to ask about that because you were out there in Arizona for the Barstool Bowl. Now that I'm out here in the West, I plan on coming out next year. But that whole philosophy of just streaming it online was incredible, I thought. From your side, from a business side, how did you see that? And is that something you could see more of as the years go on?
Oh, I think it's without a doubt going to happen. I mean, ESPN, right, was the forerunner in that, and just with ESPN Plus. And I love being able to just go and watch any game that I want, tune in, and sometimes 4 games at once or what have you. So to do that, to have it on your phone, and now you have all these services with YouTube TV, and I mean, I'm a YouTube TV, so or whatever you have, or Hulu or whatever, like to have that in your pocket or on your iPad or to that other screen, second screen kind of situation is huge. So with the Barstool Bowl for me, I mean, it was just like, yeah, this is what's to come. This is, I mean, we're already doing it, right? But they have a mechanism to where they want people to go to their site. That's the only difference. But all you had to do is type in barstool.tv and boom, it was on your phone, it was on your iPad, it was on your computer. Like you didn't have to do anything else. And you know, I think they had 1 million unique views during that or close to that. So in year one of that game, that's great. And I think just people, there's the old school mentality of like I want it on TV and all that, but that's, I mean, it's fading. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that like people want their content with them and their phones are always on them. And
Right.
you know, I have 2 little kids and they want to use the TV, right? But I have the iPad. I'm able to go on YouTube TV and watch golf like on the weekend and no matter where I am. So yeah, it's trending that way clearly.
Now that relationship with Barstool, obviously that's something that's kind of blossomed pretty recently, you know, the last couple of years. How great was that for them to be on campuses in the MAC this year with their podcast and with their, you know, with their football show? I mean, that was just a huge opportunity to continue to put the MAC on a national level.
Yeah, and a lot of people think we're behind that, and we're not. You know, it's Barstool that's making the connection. You know that they're big Maction people, that they've always kind of been on board with that and the midweek games, and they just enjoy it. They truly do. I was at the Toledo game, talked with them behind the scenes, and they truly love the MAC. It's not a front at all, and whatever they may say in a joking manner is out of love. It's out of like, that's what they do, right? So they love it. I personally talked to Dave Portnoy after the game, and he said this might be the most fun or best crowd that we've had on this tour. And he wasn't blowing smoke. He was not. He's like, this was amazing. This was amazing. It was like a horrible, it was cold, I remember.
It was awful.
Rainy,
Snowy,
it was
rainy.
snowy.
I was there too, and that was
the Toledo is
just,
like the perfect place for it, right? Because their fans come out and you were at a rivalry game, and it was great. And they just fresh off this basketball thing, which again, Barstool created. They invited MAC teams in it. They didn't check with the MAC. They are our office. They check with the schools. They wanted to see if there was buy-in. There was buy-in. Same with getting those schools, whether it's Toledo, whether it's in DeKalb, going to those campuses. And then the bowl relationship is just, I mean, that's with the Arizona Bowl. That's not with us. Like the Arizona Bowl signs them on as the sponsor. We're just in the game. But to have that again as another piece of, you know, I deal with social media all the time, and they're a machine, and they put the message out, and to have allies like that, no matter who they are, is big. I mean, I just want to promote the MAC. Like that's my number one goal. So to have people like that want to do stuff like that is really cool.
Sure. And, you know, all three of us are MAC alums, and we know how hard it is to go to a Tuesday or Wednesday night game because it is freezing cold and it's miserable. To be honest, I was in Muncie for 4 years. It was cold. And so having an opportunity to have a show like that on campus to bring people out, it's going to be a win-win every time.
Yeah. And what I'll say, and I totally get where you're coming from on the weather thing, but it's still cold on like a Saturday too, you know, in the middle of November. Like it can still be 15 degrees, 20 degrees on a Saturday afternoon. So when people bring up like, oh, Tuesday night and cold, it's like, well, yeah, but you could play a Saturday 7:00 game. It's still cold. That's fair. Know, like it's do you love the MAC? Do you want to support your team? Do you want to be a little crazy and buy in and embrace MACtion? You know, being on linear platforms is huge, and we love that too because it spotlights our teams. Sure. But like, if you're a true fan of your school, and you know it's not like totally bad. I mean, I get it. There's their Central Western game where there's just snow like everywhere, where they have the snow.
That was nuts.
The actual snowman that fan made in the stands. Like, I get it. I get that. Like, if you can't get somewhere because the roads are bad and stuff, like, yeah, I get it. But that can happen any day of the week. So We get chirped on social about, the weather stuff all the time. I'm just like, it's weather. Like, you know,
You're a
and
fan or you're
you
not?
know what? Well, no, and it's not like a rip either on,
Sure, sure.
hey, if you don't make the game, you're not a fan anymore, because you can watch it. But I just think that no matter when you play the games, you can have that. Or you can, I mean, we've had like what in February, I know it's not football season, but we've had like a couple 60-degree days. Like
Mm-hmm.
you never know. So, but they're fun. They're fun. We get behind them. You guys get behind them. The embracing, the being the spotlight games, standalone games, is great, and it's always been one of my favorite things about this conference and working in it and just growing and having fun with it.
Now, there's a basketball challenge that's happening. I think it's starting next year with the Sun Belt. Am I correct on that?
Yes. Yeah.
What brought that about, and what is that going to look like? Is that going to look like the Big Ten ACC challenge, or how's that going to look?
It is. I mean, TBA, quite honestly, on
Okay.
the details, but yeah, it will look a lot like that. Be paired up with Sunbelt teams on down the line, and
Okay.
have a weekend or so. I think it's just one weekend where we go up against them. So it's got the same look, and just
Okay.
trying to get it so that all those games are on, and Sunbelt's pretty solid. Like some
Yeah.
of those matchups will be good, will be
Mhm.
really good. So it's a look back. I don't know if you guys remember like Bracket Busters, like
Yeah.
ESPN had the Bracket Buster game. So again, it helps our schools from a scheduling perspective that you can have this game against Sunbelt team, and the top teams may draw another top team if you look at the so that maybe that boosts their net ranking. I mean,
Mhm.
doing scheduling things and being a little unique will only help us when we try to form those. But Ricky Stokes from our office spearheaded that, and got it done. And yeah, that excited to get it started. But more details to come on that soon.
Okay. That's we like Ricky Stokes. And I'm sure you remember we had him. He was actually our very first guest on the podcast, and got
Yeah.
to talk to him about the basketball tournament in 2020 pre-COVID. So that was a nice little
Or
callback
was
to
he a
that show.
return guest? Was he a
He is
return?
not a return
Oh,
guest.
well, then,
It's so you did pull ahead a little bit. You now lead Ricky Stokes by one show.
All right, perfect.
That was when we didn't know what we were doing and set the microphone next to the phone, I think, didn't you?
Yeah,
Nice.
so the story with that one, yeah, we had no idea what we were doing. We did not know Zoom existed, and the way Skype worked, it wasn't letting me like do multiple like connections. So we sent this link to, or I called Ricky on my cell phone, set up a different computer in a different part of where I was living, and had that like call into our Skype session. And it was awful. I mean, we had a great conversation, but it was just like the worst setup known to man. And now here we are using technology that was very prevalent during COVID, and we get to have a great conversation with a lot more clarity, a
Yeah.
lot less repeating ourselves.
No, you learn as you go with the podcast stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's no perfect science. You try to get better. I mean,
Mhm.
we have our show out of here, and I've had now 4 different co-hosts and like since COVID. So
Right.
to build the rapport and all that.
I just want to point out we've had you on twice. You've had us on 0 times. So, we got to figure that out, Jeremy.
I thought I had you on once.
Nope.
Well, yeah, we might have to change it. Might have to change that.
Next time
Always
you
looking
talk
for
to
guests.
next time you talk to Ricky, you have to ask him about, if you haven't already, about his Tim Duncan story. He told
yeah.
that was awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's got stories for days.
Oh, I can imagine.
As you can, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Sure. So, all right, now we're getting into basketball here a little bit. We have conference championship coming up here soon in Cleveland over at Rocket Mortgage. First off, the renovations they've done to that place are incredible. I've only seen them once, but the money they put into it's just fantastic.
No, it's a beautiful building. Beautiful.
It is. So let's talk a little bit about it. Alex will be there. I won't be, but I was last year. What are some changes, some fan experience? What are going to be some things that draw some people in, not only just to support their teams, but things going on in the community, going on in the arena, things like that?
Yeah, some things I definitely want to highlight, and I appreciate you asking. We now I wish I knew. I think it's the 5th year. We are going to kick things off with our women's games, on the 8th. But then that evening, our Wednesdays for women programming, which we've done again, I think it's 5th or 6th year. We've done that, and we have speakers. We have a panel discussion, really to celebrate women in business and women in sports. And it's been a great event. It's something, as we gear up to host the women's Final Four next year, it has been programming that that's been really good for us. And so we're excited about that. Um, and I think, the biggest thing with that is you're just you're bringing in people to, and you might have students, you might have interns, you might anyone in really interested in working in sports. You're going to be speaking with, distinguished women at different stages of their careers and topics about their opportunities and sharing their journeys and all that. And it's really cool to just see that. And it's been a great thing that we've done over the years. Again, that's leading up and been programming that we look to do as we lead up to next year's Final Four. Then on Friday evening, after we get through the men's games on quarterfinal day, and then the semifinal day and night, we're doing a block party. This is the second year we've done the block party. It's in the Westfield Champions Club, which is in the one end zone of the arena. Really nice space. But we want to do a better job of getting out in the community here in Cleveland with local business partners, with people that just have a stake in the game, whether they're restaurant or bar owners, or just have like a business and they have MAC-grads, right? We want to do something with those people. So we have an event that's through all the men's semifinal games. So like 4 to 9 up in that club, have food up there, provide some drink tickets. There's a VIP ticket that we're selling that gets people up there that maybe we did not reach out to. So the common fan can go up there. And if they want to pay a little more and have a cool experience to a different place, maybe in the building, if they're a Cavs fan, that maybe they don't get to be in that club area. So it's something that you're adding to. But if you are a MAC alum and you want to kind of rub some shoulders with some people here in the community that are doing some cool things, it's a great opportunity. So that's another thing. And then we have championship day, which is, championship day, and you can't beat that. So the other thing that just we're doing around the championship, I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but we're doing this Eat Drink Maction program. So it's a bar tour here in Cleveland where we have partnered. I don't know if partner is the right word, but we are working with 10 different local establishments here in Cleveland, to where you go pick up a passport card, you spend $10 at 5 of those places, and then you send our ticket or your passport card into a email address, and you get 2 tickets to the men's championship game. If you are in town all week, right, and your team keeps advancing, you can go throughout the week and visit some of these places and get 2 championship tickets by probably going to bars/restaurants that you might already be going to throughout the week.
Sure.
So you get a little something for it. So it's another, as you can see, like another connectivity piece with the community here in Cleveland to just get behind the event. Next year will be great. It'll be our 25th year at the Fieldhouse.
Wow.
So to build on that and to get the community going, that's a lot of the programming outside of the amazing basketball games that we'll be playing.
Sure. I think the passport thing, it's great because it won't be that hard to do. Having freaking Cleveland my entire life, it's not a hard task to accomplish at all.
No, not at all. And it's not just, we're not sending people out there just to like go have drinks. It's food, drink, whatever. Just spend $10, get your ticket or your sticker, and move on. And again, give back a little bit to the community and promote some of the places around the arena.
Now, you mentioned the Cleveland's hosting the Final Four. Is that something that the Mid-American Conference is partnering with? How does that look? Is it a city of Cleveland kind of thing, or is it various conferences are partnering together within the city of Cleveland?
No, it's so when the NCAA puts out the bid process, you need either an institution or a conference as part of the bid.
Okay.
So our bid is with the Sports Commission and the Cleveland Sports Commission and Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. So it's
Okay.
just us three. It's just us three. We'll clearly be using a lot of help in the area and surrounding schools and surrounding MAC schools and whoever wants to really come and help.
Mhm.
But that's the bid. So without the MAC, I mean, without a conference, without a school, you can't get that bid. You need an
Okay.
NCAA like entity to get that. So the sports commission just can't go and say we want the women's Final Four. Like you need someone to partner with that. So yeah, we're excited about it. We unveiled the logo about
Mhm.
maybe a month ago now for the Final Four. I'm going to Dallas to be on the media committee for this year's Final Four, so I can kind of see what all goes on because it's different than the MAC tournament, clearly. And so to just be eyes and ears down there to see what the next year I have in store because it's gonna be busy. It's gonna be a busy year, but we're excited. I mean, it's great. It's great for the city. You look, if you go back a few years, the men's basketball regional, the wrestling NCAA wrestling championships.
Mhm.
We've had we first and second rounds we were supposed to have. It got canceled on
Mhm.
us, but then just the city overall. You got the MLB All Star Game. You got the NFL Draft. You had the NBA All Star Game. You have the Women's Final Four. I mean, Cleveland's they keep coming back here because it's a great city to have a
Sure.
championship experience
Mhm.
in. And you guys know, walkable, everything's close, hotels are close, everything's kind of here. So, yeah, I think the city, the partners that we have in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and the Sports Commission are great. And over the years, we've formed quite a bond with them. So it's fun working these events.
So I guess in regards to stuff like the NCAA tournament, um, lots of work, lots of heavy hands. Are you going to be? So you mentioned schools could kind of participate. Are you going to be asking anything from the 12 member schools to like, hey, come help us out with this, or is it going to be more Cleveland area schools? So Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, all of those kind of schools.
Well, like I'll be the media coordinator for the Final
Okay,
Four. So it will really be, yes, I will of course ask our member schools like who wants to help, but I don't
Mhm.
know budget wise. I don't know how many people I could put up in hotels. I don't know that stuff yet. So
Sure.
if it has to be a local thing, then yeah, tie it into Cleveland community and how many people can help here around the area. But that's just something I don't know yet. But
Okay.
yeah, we have people at universities that are from the Cleveland area. And
Mhm.
so maybe they want to come back for a week and enjoy this and be a part of it and help out. And I'm all for that. I'm all for whoever wants to help out. I'm gonna need an army anyway. So I look forward to building a team and having a fun week here and
Mhm.
three amazing games when the Final Four's here in the championship game.
Sure. Yeah,
So
that'll be a fun transition going from the MAC championship right into that Final Four. I mean,
Yeah.
just a month, just a really beginning of the month, end of month type thing. So you won't sleep.
No, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. But these are why these events are a huge perk of
Mhm.
why I do what I do. And not just it's a perk just covering this league and being a
Mhm.
part of it, but when you get some of these extra events that shine a light on the conference, that shine a light on the city, being a Cleveland guy, you just take great pride in pulling it off
Yeah.
as best you can. Yeah.
I wanted to ask really quick, talking big events and stuff. You've been to a couple and college football playoff national championship games.
Yeah.
Now that the playoffs are expanding, what does that look like for the Mid American Conference? Obviously, there's an opportunity for access, or there's a greater opportunity for access. I don't want to say it was completely eliminated, but there's a greater opportunity. What does that look like for kind of future scheduling for the MAC? What are you kind of hearing from coaches and administrators? What's the general thought with a 12-team playoff?
Yeah, I mean the thought is let's win some games and let's schedule to get into a situation like Tulane was in this year, right? And
Mhm.
they would have been in the bracket this year had we had the playoff. So, we need to have a season like Tulane just had or like Western Michigan had a few years ago here in the league. And I don't know if there's a perfect science to that.
Mhm.
You got to schedule games, you got to have the team, you got to a lot of stars have to align, right, for that to happen. But I think it just starts with the level of coaches that we have in this league, and we have a great level of coaches on the football side, and the huge thing that we always have to look at is now kids can jump from school to school, and that makes it difficult, right? That makes it difficult. But I think that people figure it out. If there's certain people jumping from our schools to other schools, then that means there's other kids out there that want to jump from their schools to MAC schools and so forth and so on. And you can get those players. I mean, you guys see the league, our league, just you rinse and repeat, and you get some good guys in here that can really play some good ball. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure as it gets closer, there will be some models and stuff like, hey, this is what we should be doing. We, again, as we tape this, we had a football coaches call today. We did show and have a report on the playoff and stuff, but no real like, hey, this is what you got to do type stuff yet. Because I mean, everyone knows what you got to do. You got to win.
Right.
But, at the end of the day,
that's the simple part.
Yeah, and win. So yeah, but I think our teams schedule real well. And the teams that feel like they have good teams coming up and recruiting well and everything, then they should probably schedule up a little, right? And if teams are in rebuilding mode, they're looking maybe to get wins. It's like any sport. So I am, that is why I'm not a coach. That is why I'm not in those roles. But it seems to make sense from a common fan perspective that that's kind of what you would be looking at trying to do.
And we talked a little bit about it last year at Media Day. Now that we're a year or so in, how have you seen the impact of NIL deals on the conference?
I don't see much of that because it's all school. It's all school. Like,
school.
Yeah, it's we kind of stay out of it, to be honest. Nothing really goes through us. The schools have their own compliance people and their kids. So it's a thing that we know is going on, but I couldn't really speak to that, to be honest.
Gotcha. Okay.
You have tournaments to worry about.
Yeah, no, but all I know is like it's quite a thing, and I don't know how schools are adapting to it, to be honest. I'm sure pretty well, but I think overall, if you look at the country, not just the MAC, I think the guys that are going to get the money are the guys that are going to get the money, whether they step on the field, whether they put up numbers. I don't know. I'm still watching from afar to see how it all plays out, I guess.
We're watching from afar just because we don't understand it all, so we get you.
I mean, I'm with you. Like, hey, I know you gotta be real on these podcasts, right? I have no clue. I have no clue at the end of the day how it all works.
When we had Tim Lester on last year, the former Western coach, he talked about even the transfer portal just not knowing. He's like, it's a spreadsheet with names and maybe a position, maybe a school. Yeah. Here you go.
I mean, it's crazy. All this stuff's all happening at once. And yeah, it's right now, I think the best way to term it all is the wild, wild west. Yeah. I mean, no one knows. No one knows really what's going on.
So last thing I kind of wanted to ask you about, the MAC is no longer sponsoring soccer, but have recently added lacrosse. What benefit does bringing lacrosse into the Mid-American Conference as a sponsored sport? What does that bring to the conference as a whole, even with the loss of soccer?
I mean, lacrosse is a great sport, first and foremost, and typically thought of as an East Coast sport. But joining and getting it in the MAC is great. It gives opportunities now for 7 institutions for female student athletes to have another sport to play and growing the game and giving opportunities to more women to play sports on campus. So I mean that's just a win-win right there. But the game, I mean, I've watched a little, and I didn't grow up, in Cleveland, you don't watch a lot of lacrosse. So being able to see some of it and see the game and just maybe learn bits and pieces, I'm definitely still learning. It's a great sport, and happy to have it. So it outside of unfortunately losing a sport like men's soccer, it's just creating more opportunities among over our campuses, and it's really fun, and I can't wait really to see how it grows.
Oh, go ahead, AJ.
I was gonna say, you're right. That's a great sport. I played it growing up and went to a lot of games at Notre Dame, and it was just always packed, and especially that college atmosphere. It's so fast. I've seen it down at Ohio State before. They'll play a game right before the spring game, And so there'll be 80,000 people there to watch a lacrosse game. They have no idea what lacrosse is,
Yeah.
but still they get to watch football after, but might as well pick up lacrosse while they're there. It's genius.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, there's a lot of sports out there that a lot of people just aren't used to, and that's a great model, right? To get it out in front of people. You say that, and I know it's not what you asked, but that's how I don't know. That's how I think sometimes about our social accounts. I know that a lot of people, it's the fall, it's football, 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 but I want those people to join because of that. But I want them to stay and follow our account so that they can see what's going on in lacrosse, to see what's going on in women's soccer, to see what's going on in name the sport. It doesn't matter. Volleyball. I mean, on down the line. So I I know how that works, and that's always been my mind. There's some conferences that split up their accounts based on sport, and then I just think that just gets a little watered down because then maybe they only have an interest in one sport, but I want people to see the stuff of what's going on, or at least highlighting at the very least our student athletes that might be our players of the week every week, so they could see and be recognized for the great things that they're doing on the field, on the court, on the mat, whatever it may be.
Sure. I mean, that's, I think it's a testament to just the strength of the conference, right? Everybody talks about, oh, the MAC is, they're the mid-major, they're, whatever. But I think being able to add a sport that's got a little bit more of a niche following, I think that's so big. And sure, it's only 7 teams, but that's 7 more teams with scholarships, opportunities, like you said, that we didn't have before. So I think that makes the conference a little bit more special.
Yeah, and you never know. There might be other schools that look at the model. I mean, there haven't been any talk, no inside news here, but they might see it and say, hey, you know what? I wonder if we could start that and we could join and be one of our member schools. Maybe we can add it. I don't know. Everyone's situation is clearly different, but it's something that we now offer. And you don't know. I mean, Eastern just started this year.
Yep.
I know they were last year that they were announced that, but now playing, and who knows what can come of it. And again, it's a fun thing. You add it, you're given opportunities, like I said, and maybe it grows to even higher levels.
And so I guess one of my follow-ups to that is, what does it look like adding a sport to be sponsored by the conference? So obviously when the conference did it, I think there were 6 charter members for lacrosse. What would that look like to add, like, let's say hockey? We've recently gotten into following hockey, and they're obviously in a different conference. But what does that look like to add those and to say, hey, we're going to sponsor this? What minimum teams? What kind of goes into that?
You boys are giving me way too much credit right now to think that I have any say or any dealings with any of that stuff. I wish I did. I honestly don't know the first thing about how that all comes about. I know it comes from, the AD room. I know it comes from, multiple conversations with the senior women administrators, the AD room, the presidents. Is this a good move for the conference to do? And there's clearly many conversations and thought process and data. I'm not allowed in any of those rooms. So, no, I mean, I am allowed, but it's, I just sit there and wait and say, okay, let's put it out and blast it out there and have fun with it. So, I don't know. I just know that there's deep thought, deep, conversations and a lot of research that goes into if this is a good move for the conference long term.
Sure.
Gotcha. Well, AJ, I don't have anything else I wanted to talk to Jeremy about. I know we've talked his ear off for almost an hour here.
This has been fun. I could go all day. It's great. You guys have me in my office. I mean, last time I did it I was at home. I remember that, but no, this has been a lot of fun. You guys do. I mean, I want to take a minute to just say you guys do an amazing job with this.
Thank you.
You guys give a lot of love across the conference, and I see it. I see coaches that really respect what you guys are doing. I see, and I really respect what you're doing. And so it's a great thing that we have guys like you that really care about this league. And I'm sure there's a ton more people like you that care about this league, but you're doing something about it. And it's really cool. And now you see over and over, like the access kind of grows, right?
Yeah.
And that's how and it's like we just talked about with lacrosse. It's fun to see things build. And so, I know like Coach Tomic with BG, like I see the love that you gave her, and it was, given right back. It was reciprocated with, I mean, that's just one example of like people respecting what you're doing, and really like the coverage in this league. Anyone loves the coverage and really appreciates it. So what you guys are doing is really cool. So congrats to you guys on what you've been growing.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
No,
it.
we really
Yeah.
appreciate that. It's
No,
been
no, man.
we feel like, and I feel like I speak for both of us when I say it feels like we can't give enough back to this conference, just for what it's given us, both at our schools at Toledo and Ball State. But I mean, just in general, just the access that you've helped us get, and that the coaches have given us. It's been unreal, and we're forever appreciative.
Yeah, well, you don't get that access with not being professional like you guys are. You guys can be trusted. You're not out to like make joke. You want to learn about these people. You want to learn.
Right.
I mean, and that's what you want to do. So it's not a big ask for me to tell a coach that may not have heard of you yet, or an SID that might be new to the league, like that asked me the question. It's like, yeah, listen, like just look at what you guys are doing. And it doesn't take too much to be like, oh yeah, we should do that. It's cool, it's fun. We've been trying, again, I talked about it earlier. We try to do the same thing, a lot more probably student athlete based. I know you guys do a lot more coach, but like we try, and it's growing too,
Yeah.
because they appreciate the love that they get. And that's, again, the conference. I've just had a bunch of starts over with a bunch of people, but to keep, any successful podcast, keeping your base, your two people that are doing the show, or one person, whatever it may be, is huge, because you just build that rapport as you go through. And I see that with you guys, and you're always prepared, and I listen to probably more than you guys think or know. And it's cool just to hear some of these coaches that you guys have on, and maybe that we've both talked to, right?
Sure.
But they got stories, and they tell different stories, and you ask different questions, and everyone's got a story. Everyone's a person off the field, and humanizing that, and learning about people that's what I feel like podcasts are really all about. Like, get the information, but let's hear about these people. They're just regular people, right? At the end of the day, that are just like us, that have favorite shows and music groups and everything else. So yeah, it's great. The podcast boom has been really cool, and just another platform that we can all use to just spread the message of the league.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that was one thing I wasn't worried about too, moving to Colorado, is not having, not a lot of schools come out this way. But I've been lucky enough to cover Western Michigan women's basketball at Colorado State. And I was the only person in the arena with the Bronco on my media tag. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I did Western Michigan hockey here at Colorado College a couple of weeks ago. Awesome. Again, the only person covering Western, even though it's a MAC sponsor, but I'm still, hey, our Twitter was a blast that night.
Yeah.
Because Western fans saw we were interacting with, because none of them traveled out here to Colorado Springs to watch that, but my wife and I were there, and we got to cover it from the box, and it was an absolute blast.
No doubt. That's what makes this all fun at the end of the day. And we're all just having fun and telling stories while we're having fun.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
And shout out to Colorado College for having Raising Cane's chicken tenders in the press box for us.
Wow, that's huge. That was big.
That was really big.
That's what we're expecting at the MAC championship this year, Jeremy.
Oh,
just so
man.
you know.
I mean, again, you guys are giving me way too much credit. But if it was solely my decision, I mean, let's go. I'll make a couple calls as soon as I get off here. I mean, that's a
Perfect.
great idea.
Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time tonight, and see you in Cleveland. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, boys. Let's get some action.